When I make these matches, I make matches that I personally want to see, and there's a couple of reasons why I want to see each of these matches. So with Kevitog and Aetherbeat, um, this is like these two are both graduates from the Caliburst beginner bracket, right? Kevitog was one of the first graduates. Actually, let me see if I still have that picture pulled up. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Oh wait, it's in here. Yeah. This is the first beginner bracket we ran. This is our first top three, right? That's Kevitog right here. He's Boonul Stan. I fucking love that shit. But all right, and I got the picture. I think I got the Aetherbeat, the Carpool from Hell picture too. Yeah, as Charadine jacket and Aetherbeat right there, baby. So I've been stoked to see this match for a couple reasons, right? One is obviously that these two are they're both beginner bracket graduates, and they both graduated from when we were able to do local, which is nice, right? And they're also both pretty consistent when entering the Wednesday night fights or when entering other Caliburst tournaments. So we get to see them compete a lot, but I don't actually get to see them play that often, right? And between the two, I think I'd probably give Kevitog the general edge in the matchup, but we kind of don't know what Aetherbeat's like when he's focused on something, right? And so I really think that one of the powerful things about doing these show matches is that you have a very specific like thing to practice for, right? When I did Tension Pulse against Amadeus, that was the first time that I ever really had to think about the jam matchup. And so I spent my time preparing for that matchup. And most of us, because we're entering tournaments where you can't really predict who you're going to run into, most of us don't do that kind of focused preparation. So I'm really excited to see, specifically because Aetherbeat has been putting in so much work lately and getting significantly better. I'm really excited to see what happens when we give him like a very specific goal, like, hey, you need to learn the May matchup, right? You need to learn how to beat Kevitog. You know, Kevitog consistently places higher than Aetherbeat in tournament, right? So Aetherbeat's definitely the underdog here, but what I like even more about this, and actually, I'm gonna have to dig this up real quick, right? But after I told the two of them that they were gonna play each other, let's see. I'm gonna see what Aetherbeat said. Aetherbeat just said, "All right then." Okay, yeah, you know, very very businesslike. I like that, right? Kevitog made a fucking instructional video called "How to Play Against Biken and Exert." This dude, this dude is like, I'm gonna learn how to edit a video just so I can document all the shit that I know how to do to fuck your character up. And Aetherbeat, all these clips, by the way, are from this stream, right? We got Aetherbeat and Kevitog right here. He's saying, look, homie, I'm going to do this to you again. And everyone else can learn how to deal with the local Vikings. It's 4 minutes, 39 seconds. Are you kidding me? And then at the very end, right? So we got, the last chapter dealing with Kabaddi and Suzuran.
This works because you will recover out of blocks then before she can recover out of Suzuran.
Yeah, throwing that Suzuran. Yeah, Aetherbeat, you can't run that shit on me.
That covers it for my tips on the Biken matchup. Good luck to your matches in the future.
Good luck to your matches in the future. We even got a call out to the Biken mains of NorCal. Aetherbeat, Denim Daddy, Senior Children, and Six Fam. Wow. Bro. Like, so when Bears, the strongest chip in North America and the Hokage of the NorCal chips, if you go look at his YouTube video, it is full of videos that are how to beat chip shit, right? Because after he bodies you, then he just links you to his YouTube. This is one better. This is before he beats you. He's like, yo, by the way, just so you know, I got 5 minutes of impeccably edited video saying this is how I'm gonna fuck you up. Oh, and by the way, you're in there. I fucking love it. That's right. This is the most polite diss track I've ever seen. And like, look, Aetherbeat versus Kevitog, it's an undercard fight. It means a lot to the people who are in it. It means a lot to the homies. It's not like the biggest fucking draw, right? They're not the main event. But Oh my god, we just got this little extra spice that makes me very, very excited for. Hey, what up, sandwich? That's right. This is we're getting off our fight card to a bang. All right. Well, I guess we gotta ban this dude right here. Row man, you on that shit? Or do I have to deal with it? Let's see. Oh, sweet. We taking care of that. Tight. Thanks, Round Man. We got the homies on deck for that.
That guy sucks so much we banned him twice.
So next up we got I want to keep this pulled up. Where'd that video go? There we go. Yeah. We got Simo versus Tom Tom. This is another Wednesday Night Fights classic. We see both of those dudes showing up a lot. But again, I only make matches that I want to see, right? And this too is actually this is low-key the matchup that I'm the most hyped for in this entire card, because they both graduated from intermediate bracket in the last month, but they did it in completely different ways, right? So Simo, he's the cleanest Milia in NorCal, at least I think so. And he's been putting in a lot of great work in both Uni and in Guilty Gear. He's been playing multiple games for a minute now, right? Consistently doing excellent work, and just consistently putting in the effort, right? He's getting better. He's getting way more consistent with his shit. And he's also actually been like helping, other Milia players out, which is fucking great, right? The way he wins is by winning intermediate bracket last month. And it was pretty clear that he was the strongest player in that pool, right? Like, he played against Ghost Deer, I think in winners finals and in grand finals, and just kind of ran him over, right? Simo was doing his shit and was working really well. Immediately after that, Tom Tom plays a show match against Ghost Deer and also beats Ghost Deer, like literally immediately after the intermediate bracket, right? Now, Tom Tom didn't enter the intermediate bracket that month because he was focused on the show match. And the show matches aren't connected to your graduation, right? Your level, right? But Tom Tom then goes on to place third at Wednesday Night Fights twice. So the thing about intermediate bracket, the parameters that we give you for intermediate is anyone is welcome as long as, you're not in beginner bracket, right? So usually when people join Caliburst for the first time, we figure out if they're a better fit for beginner bracket or intermediate bracket. But you are disqualified from intermediate bracket if you've ever placed top 3 in a local, right? Which most of the time, because the locals have like me, Daymendo, CT Warrior, Bonjern, fucking Adapt and Babaloo, Cam, like Pepsi, right? A whole bunch of Popo Ring, a whole bunch of badasses, to say nothing about, fucking like JC Yoshi or Bears if he ever wants to show up, it's pretty hard to get top 3 to local. But Tom Tom did it twice in a row at Wednesday Night Fights. And the first time, one of the things that kept me specifically me out of top 3 was connection issues got me DQ'd. And so I couldn't connect against the people I needed to play with. And so instead, Tom Tom beat Daymendo's chip, and that's how he got into top 3. And so I was like, look, Tom Tom, I told him then, I was like, we can count that as a graduation, but we won't force it because the bracket worked out the way it is. The next week, he just straight up murders fools and earns that 3rd place spot, right? So I am super hyped to see what happens between these two. And they've played in bracket a lot. Tom Tom is up by 1. It's 4-3. But they've never played a 1st to 3 in bracket because they've never both made it into the losers finals, winners finals, or grand finals. And even the stylistic matchup is pretty interesting here because Tom Tom started out as a real wild boy. And the thing that most people like figure out when they played against him was, oh, you can bait this dude into flash kicking and punish him and then you're fine, right? Hey, happy birthday, Graffiti. That's what's up. Oh, shit. But Simo has also been making some stylistic changes as well, right? Like he's been cleaning up his shit. We see his combos getting longer, and we see some of the risk reward and some of his decision making just changing a little bit. And again, normally these two don't have to prepare for each other because you never know who you're going to run into in bracket, right? But for these two, they both have the chance to focus on an opponent. Tom has had this experience before because he played a show match in the last set, right? So he knows at least a little bit more about how to do this. I don't think Simo's ever had a show match that was booked 2 weeks in advance. So we honestly really have no idea what kind of Simo and what kind of Tom are going to show up that day. I'm super hyped for this shit. After that, so the co-main event is Popo Ring versus Cam. If you don't know Popo Ring, you are forgiven because he actually doesn't show up to a whole lot of net play events. So Popo Ring would show up to Wednesday night fights when we did them in person at ESA Oakland, usually like maybe every other time or something. He just like show up like once a month or something. He is hands down the smartest of the NorCal Leos. He's got a lot of just like really tricky. He's got like a little extra mix-up juice than most Leo players do. He's a little bit smarter. He's a little bit more technical. And like honestly, he fucks my shit up like all the time, right? He can't compete very consistently, but I checked his last 7 tournaments that he made it out to. He got top 5 in all of them, right? And usually, like, let's be honest, usually it's at least second or third. But yeah, Popo Ring is a super strong player, and if y'all don't know him, it's probably because because he doesn't show up as often as some of the regulars, right? So how's he playing Cam? Well, y'all know Cam. He's Oakland security, right? He's the one out here who makes sure that any out-of-towner who comes by and tries to take a Wednesday night fights or NorCal dog fight, they got to make their way through Cam and demonstrate that they know how to play the Jacko matchup, right? I fucking love it. Cam is 100% the homie. He's played in almost every Caliburst exhibition. He plays in a shit ton of Wednesday night fights top 3s. He's playing in whatever he can. We got first and second at one of the Colorado net play tournaments last month, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, something like that. No, it was a month ago. And like Cam is always down to fuck some shit up, right? And originally when I tried to make this match, it was actually Cam versus Wabbit. If y'all don't know Wabbit, he's a regular in this stream. He also shows up at Wednesday night fights a lot. And Wabbit's like good with a whole bunch of characters. He was one of the earlier graduates from the intermediate bracket, and he just fucking steamrolled people to win that bracket, right? So I was super stoked to set up Wabbit versus Cam, but Wabbit chose his studies, which I understand. You know, his school is starting back up again. He's saying he's not going to have as much time to focus on gear, and the show match probably not great. And dude's got his priorities in order. I'm super happy for him, but I needed to set up another matchup. And so I asked Cam, I'm like, yo, who do you want? And he says, oh, I want Popo Ring. Because he said we always have good matches. But I think they've only played once in tournament. Like, Popo Ring and Cam will net play a lot. I see him often actually show up in my stream lobby towards the end, or like after the stream's over. I know they get a lot of good games in, but I think they've only played in one tournament match. I actually couldn't find it, but I think Cam won. And I'm super hype to see how these two turn out, because like, again, you get the preparation, you get the prep time, but also these two know each other. They've played against each other for so long, and just there's never been stakes, right? Yeah, I mean, Adapt, we certainly have to. I feel like we're gonna need to settle out a set sometime, at least certainly before Strive comes out, you know. But you gotta get your hands back together, homie. So yeah, Popo Ring versus Cam, like, honestly, this one could go either way. The character matchup is real interesting. Obviously, Cam is really used to playing against Leos, because in any given Wednesday Night Fights bracket, he'll usually have to play against Jigs or Tom, maybe Rubes, right? But Jigs, Tom, and Rubes are not Popo Ring. There is no Leo player quite like Popo Ring. Oh, sure. The thing about Adapt is that his hands are fucked up. He's got like he's got some pretty nasty like carpal tunnel shit, and so he needs to recover. Where was I? Yes, Popo Ring is none of those Leo players, and a lot of the shit that you can get away with against other Leo players, you cannot get away with against Popo Ring. So I don't know who Cam like pulls in to practice against, right? But what's actually really cool to me is that I saw these two playing in my lobby last week. After they knew about the match, they're still grinding against each other. They're still collecting that data. And I cannot wait to see who has more chips to cash in, right? And so then last up, of course, we have the main event. We got CT Warrior, the triple threat. Excuse me. I actually had a lot of fun doing this CT Warriors promo shot. Let me pull that up real quick. Because, like, CT's so fucking badass. CT's so cool. He plays 3 characters at a competitive level. He has beaten me in tournament with 3 different characters. And not just me, like a whole bunch of other people with 3 characters. And these characters are not, like, easy, right? Like, there's a lot of character-specific shit that he does with each of them. Yeah, Raul, man. We did this in the diorama mode. It was cool as hell. And here's the thing, is that for these show match rules, the rules are first to 3, and just like in the arcade or just like in tournament, the loser can switch characters. So CT is allowed to play any of his characters as long as he lost the previous match, right? He doesn't have to commit to one up front. So he's obviously a huge threat. And like, y'all know CT from the stream. Y'all have watched him play in Wednesday Night Fights countless times. You've watched him body my ass. I think I saw my record against him is something like 18-2. CT has just been beating my ass left and right. He beats a lot of fools' asses, right? In terms of recent competitive results, he's the best Wednesday Night Fights NorCal player who's not Daemendo, right? And he's got 3 characters at this level, right? He's won 8 Wednesday Night Fights. I have sent this man $160 on PayPal. And at first the messages were like, yo, good games, man. Oh, good shit. And now it's just like fist emoji. Fuck, right? CT is absolutely the person to beat, right? And when I'm looking at who I line up for CT, I'm like, well, I don't know. Like, probably he'd probably fuck me up in a first to 3. I know this because we play first to 3s every week at Wednesday Night Fights, and he fucks me up. The last week was looking pretty good. There's a lot more back and forth. I don't know. Like, I don't think Babalu would do that well against CT stylistically. Daemendo and CT play all the time, so I'm not really interested in playing that match. You know, like, I'm trying to figure out who would be a good match. Well, none other than Take Yanase, aka NorCal #1 Best Venom, aka Take Hennessy, aka Take That Hennessy, aka Bonjun Yang. I think that's his real name. Oh, and by the way, it's supposed to be pronounced Takanashi, but you know, whatever. I think he's preparing, because I've seen him in Guilty Gear. Yo, Crusader Kings 3 is out, and I still see Bonjun playing Guilty Gear. But yeah, so here's the thing. Bonjun has mentioned before that CT actually, and he's actually often surprised by the fact that CT has kind of a hard time with him in tournament, but their bracket records are actually... Oh, Taka. Yo, you changed it to Taka Hennessy? That's what's up. Hell yeah. Look, so thanks to the data, we found out that you actually have a 4-3 record against CT in tournament. So you are up by 1, right? And here's the thing, right? It's not just CT versus Take Yanase. It's also Venom versus these 3 characters, right? So we know that not only does... So CT plays against Take Yanase sometimes, right? Whenever Take Yanase decides to enter bracket, CT's usually in there. Maybe they'll get to play each other if Bonjun doesn't run into me first anyway. But we've also gotten to see CT play against Hirsch a lot, who's the premier SoCal Venom. And because they play in United Wednesday Night Fights Championships a lot. And we've seen CT have some success with Elfelt. We've seen him have a lot less success with Kai and Soul, right? But each of these characters has a pretty tricky matchup against Venom, right? Soul has to deal with... All of them actually have to deal with balls all over the place, right? CT likes playing these zoning characters. And it's very difficult to outzone Venom, which means that CT is most likely going to have to go in on this one, right? So it's not going to be an easy matchup for CT. Bonjern obviously not only has plenty of experience against CT, he also has plenty of footage to see how Hirsch beats him, right? And Bonjern's gonna be mad at me for playing this up, but I will remind y'all that when Bonjern and Hirsch played the mirror match at Evo last year, our boy won, making him the best Venom in fucking California. That's right, baby. This shit is gonna be hype as fuck. Oh, and before I forget, the last time they played in top 3, the sets went 3-1 to Bonjern, 3-2 to CT, and then 3-1 to CT. So this one is gonna be all over the fucking place. We've no idea where this one's gonna go. I'm hype as fuck. Caliburst. September 5th, that's this Saturday. Beginner bracket and intermediate bracket start at 1 p.m. and the show matches start at 3. That's what's up.